Very true. Well, I'll tell you what, folks. You don't have to wait much longer because the reset is starting right now. We go again on our grand finals. Gaskin, bravo. Let's get it.
Here we go. We're going right into game. We don't even have time to look at what the bracket reset game types are. We'll get you those in a moment. We'll also give you those verbally as we get into game number one. And we'll also get the card going as well. But in the interest of time, we are going straight into game. We are wasting no time because we know so many of you have been with us all evening, all morning, all day, as it becomes multiple days now. But I have to say, Gaskin, it's great to have you with us here for this bracket reset. And this is honestly one of the best days of competitive Halo we've had in a very long time. Even though it's been long hours, I'm having a blast.
It's great to be here, and I'm just looking across the statistics from Optic's run throughout the last few tournaments. It's another game type where they do have a 100% win record. They've played it 4 times, they've won it 4 times, but as we just saw on Slayer Aquarius, that doesn't mean everything. There is still a chance that Sentinels could overturn this one, and in the early stages, it is going towards Sentinels. 23 points already racked up. They've got control of A and B. This is the setup you want here on Recharge Strongholds. You're going to hold these two, then you trap the other team towards C, and you force them to consistently push into vulnerable areas, and you take angles, you take them down.
Look at the shots there from LethuL on APG, some great shots. But whether you're in Twitch chat and YouTube chat, or maybe just more of a Twitter person, do you want you to go ahead and say, I was there. We'll all remember this. We have all gone through this together. This is one of the most fantastic, longest, but best nights of competitive Halo I've ever been a part of. This has been fantastic. And Gaskin, as we look at stats, I gotta say, Halo Infinite is once again setting a pretty ridiculous record, because right now 2/3 of every finals have gone to a game 5 and then a bracket reset. So once again, setting some pretty big standards, some big shoes to fill this game is.
Just teams keep pushing each other to that next level, don't they? As soon as Optic thought they were the cream of the crop, they were above everyone else by head and shoulders. Sentinels waltz back in and say, hey, did you forget about us? You better not have, because we're going to reset this one. We're going to take it to another best of 5. But look at this, total control for Optic Gaming. They've been able to secure all 3. Sentinels need to stop this bleeding soon, and they're trying to do so in B. One of the most difficult strongholds to take off of your opponent, but at least they've been able to achieve that. Now they can transition over towards A, and they will have that ideal setup once more.
It's another nice play from LethuL. Ola comes in with the repulsor, which sends LethuL all the way back to the back of elevator, but LethuL's going to win the battle in the end anyway. What was a really great stretch there from Sentinels has been answered back, like you said, by the trip cap. So these teams still pretty darn close, only 25 points or so separating them two here in game number 1 of our bracket reset. And it's been a fantastic night, like you said. We'll have to see who's able to take this game number 1, and we have to think fatigue setting in for these players. But with the gameplay we're seeing here, Gaskin, so far, everyone's looking still pretty sharp, and Sentinels really riding the momentum off that last game.
Certainly, Sentinels seem to look sharper than Optic. I don't know whether we're seeing Optic play at the same level as what we witnessed a little bit earlier on. I say a little bit earlier on today, quite a long time ago today, when they were originally in that winners bracket finals. But at the same time, that can't be an excuse for Optic. You know full well that they would not have just turned over and showed their belly and allowed Sentinels to get back into this series. This is about grit and determination. Sentinels have demonstrated something a little bit different here in this grand final, and now in the reset they have quite a significant lead in game number 1 here, but we'll see how quickly that could be overturned if we see yet another trip cap coming through.
Yeah, momentary trip cap as C is being converted right behind you, as you see. So it'd still be 107 to 54. We also just got an update here from Onset, who, as you saw, just casted that first series. Believe he just ordered a smash burger and loaded pulled pork fries for breakfast at around 8:37 in the morning, which is pretty incredible. So congrats to Onset. I'm actually pretty jealous, and we don't have eateries like that open at 1 a.m. here on the West Coast. So now I'm actually really jealous. So I just want to give a shout out wherever you are in the world. Order your snacks, because we got a whole nother series going. Get your DoorDash or Uber Eats orders in, because we could be going to another best of 5.
To be fair, I'm wondering where in England he's managed to get an order like that at 8:37 in the morning. I'm a little bit jealous. Maybe it was just an order to his mum and she's going to bring it round, because I'm not sure there's many fast food restaurants that would be able to achieve that. But we are seeing A and B now in possession for Optic Gaming. They're slowly trickling their way up the scoreboard and catching Sentinels up. And it was a significant lead. It was up by 50, 60 points. But, you know, Optic have closed this gap. They're not allowing Sentinels to run away with it. And it shows just how closely contested these two teams are, bravo.
And there you go. See LethuL shooting those nades, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm expecting to see a little bit more teams denying grenades more and more as we get closer to Raleigh. It's just too risky to leave those grenades up for remote detonation, but we'll take a look back into the gameplay now. As you said, these two teams neck and neck here in game number 1. You wouldn't expect it any other way with the series that we just saw, and a few more hit ticks come in from LethuL. Instead, he's going to have to reset with a team at A and set his sights on control.
Total control once more, but Sentinels at least able to rescue A. That's job 1. Notice how Sentinels are not forcing themselves to try and take C first and putting themselves in a position where they could be consistently kept on some sort of spawn cycle, some sort of spawn trap. Instead, they prioritize A or B because that is the setups that they're going to be trying to go for every single time. But right now, there is a lot of time ticking up for Optic Gaming. They've gained the lead here, and you know, every single camo is going to make a difference here. Notice in 15 seconds, both teams are going to try and prioritize that, try and get it into their chests because it could make or break the setup.
My God, I was about to say, how often do you see Lucid up top with the shock rifle, but he just doubles back out of yellow with a perfect shot there on LethuL. A great play. And as we take a look at the scoreboard, it's still Optic Gaming in control here, right around 158 to 111. We do see A converted though, so Sentinels will have to work together to push back out once again, perhaps a pipes push or a control push towards B or C.
Do you know what's crazy, Bravo? I mean, aside from it being a bracket reset, I remember sitting in Sentinel stream yesterday and them saying, you know what, we're just happy to get into pool play. All we want is top 8, whether it be via points, whether it be qualifying, it doesn't really matter. And now they're competing to potentially be the #1 seed going into Rally. And that shows that even though they didn't have the mentality of we'd like to go in as #1 seed, they played well enough. They have that opportunity here and now. And they've had to take the long road. They got eliminated down to the lower bracket so early on, but it's been quite the run in the lower bracket. Consecutive back-to-back games, several of them being best of 5 series as well. And the fact they're still putting on a show like this is extremely impressive.
It really is here as we take a look at the score. Now 173 to 135 in favor of Optic Gaming. It's a big win there from Lucid at Turbine as he went pipes, and LethuL just happened to miss just a shot there as he grappled in and was trying to get towards back A because the callouts were coming about how many opponents were weak, trapped in control. So neither team wanting to drop this game, and of course, as we said, nice little nade there from LethuL on APG. As we said, these teams knowing that really you have to give it all in these games, and this is what a test, what a precursor for Raleigh, right, in terms of an endurance test on set between these two sides of who's going to be ready to play out these long days at the Raleigh LAN.
Best part is you just called me on set, so talk about endurance, talk about the point of where we're at with this, that you still think I could be Mark. But yeah, I mean, this is the perfect just kind of tester before we get to Rally, because LANs do take it out of you. It is a very fatiguing procedure, playing all those games in a row. Sometimes we've seen teams really struggle when you get to the latter stages of tournaments because of the back-to-back games, but this certainly is one way to get your reps in. But as we've been talking, I've been discussing, and you've been calling me Mark, and I've said disgusting rather than discussing, it's still the fact that Optic Gaming are racking up points. They're getting closer and closer to taking map 1 here.
I do apologize, Dan. You're very, very kind. As we take a look here, what LethuL can do to try to answer back. 225 to 135, and ready to close this out is Optic Gaming, looking very strong. So would that B hold, and we're seeing players from Sentinels know they need to fly into B right now, keeping an eye on that score as they will now only be 15 points or so away from closing out this game. Not very long for them, and Sentinels all the way down to 139, and going to be a long road back, and Optic Gaming thinking you're just going to need maybe 1 or 2 slays, Gaskin, to close this out.
They do only need 1 or 2 slays, but something that we see quite a lot here in Strongholds and Halo Infinite is when a team is really close to winning the game, they start to desperate those Strongholds a little bit because they know they only need those extra 10, 20 seconds. And because of that, it really gives the opportunity to the other team to set up accordingly and really punish that team who's constantly flying into Strongholds, just like this. TriPPPeY diving into B, a double kill for LethuL, and all the meanwhile, we're seeing time tick up for Sentinels. It's a triple kill for LethuL. He's starting to really give Sentinels a chance to get back into this one.
Triple kill for LethuL, trying to stay alive. The yellow angles is the angle, excuse me, that he was not ready for as he starts to get pinned in the back and has to worry about now back to B. But head on a swivel, manages to do damage into Lucid and Ola at yellow. That's going to be big, but are there teammates around to stop? It's going to be SnakeBite that comes in and gets the kill and also gets the reset on B. This one's not over yet.
Gets the reset, the temporary trip cap, so there are several points starting to be added now, and LethuL just doesn't seem to be missing. He's been patrolling the map, checking out every single angle, reacting to callouts perfectly, and it's allowing Sentinels, but slowly and surely crawling their way back into this game. You said Optic just need that 1 set of slays. They've not been able to achieve those set of slays yet. Sentinels have had an answer every single time.
And you have to wonder if they've played it differently. Were they just trying to get, as you said, a few desperate conversions? And that's what they were going for. And that's actually what has let Sentinels get right back in this game. And once again, it's an unbelievable finish. The Mangler, though, from Lucid beats out the Needler of LethuL in the back of the base. It's a kill from TriPPPeY on the other side as well. As we take a look at the score, still now going to be a trip cap just like that in favor of Optic Gaming. This could be it.
Well, at least Sentinels do stop the bleeding ever so slightly, sitting in C, so it's not going to be 2 points racking up. They have at least, what, 5 seconds to get to either A or B here. It looks like B is going to be where they dive into. Have to stay alive, have to try and reset this one. This is going all the way down to the wire between these two teams.
They're going to keep him trapped at A here. They're going to play for this BC hold, and right now with the angles that they have, they might be able to do it. It's a team shot out of Catwalk for Optic Gaming right away. They know they need to break out because just like that, Sentinels is crossing the 240-point mark as well. This is just like that, a 240 to 247 game down to the wire.
2 kills there for Sentinels. They're trying to move over to C, our Optic Gaming, but their time is slowly but surely ticking up. 247, 247, 1 member in C. Can they get the reset? Yes, they can. Sentinels are going to do it. They make the comeback. They were so far behind, Bravo, but somehow they keep this dream runner going.
Oh my God, 250 to 247, and you can't make it back up. You cannot. Excuse me, I don't even know what I'm saying. You cannot make it
Words
up.
don't matter anymore.
That comeback, Gaskin. And we said, I think it was around 160 to 220-ish or so. And you called it perfectly, actually. I was the one who maybe made that little bit of that premature call and said that this one could be over. But instead, Optic Gaming did exactly what you predicted. They desperated on B just a little bit. They started to dive in a little bit. And Sentinels able to capitalize on that opportunity. And another comeback to add to this grand final is absolutely unbelievable.
Well, as rules state, because I'm now casting, I don't have to analyze this game, so I can bring back in Mark. There he is. Look at that handsome face. He's ordered his pulled pork sandwich or whatever it was, ridiculous, that's never going to arrive to his house on time. Lottie, Mark, I mean, what an opener to this grand finals reset.
I'm actually shook. You shook?
Like, Lottie, I don't know about you, right?
I know.
I don't know who's... If someone has written this script, it's the greatest script I've ever seen. Like, it's so unpredictable. There's so many twists and turns. And yeah, I mean, I'm just sitting here at the moment. I'm genuinely speechless just watching these games. It is just, I'm just watching it as the biggest fan of Halo you can imagine right now. It's just amazing to watch.
I mean, that comeback on Strongholds was crazy, and I feel like against a team like Optic, that is so hard to do. And I'll tell you why, because if you want to come back with that amount, you need to be hitting your shots, you need to be getting the trades, you need to be getting your slays, you need to be rotating perfectly, working as a team. This late in the night, it's 3:45 in the morning East Coast. I mean, Mark, Gaskin, it is work time for you guys. It is getting into your afternoon, basically.
By the way,
I want to
say, I know every time that you mention it, I know you feel bad because you realize that, you know, it's not as late for you as it is for us. It's still ridiculously late for you guys. Let's get that out there. You shouldn't feel bad about that whatsoever. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Another thing, crazy thing to point out. Sorry, go ahead, Lottie.
No, please do, bro.
I was just going to say,
at this point, just whatever, go for it.
This is more of a round table. This is more of a round table at this point. I got to say, one crazy thing we got to remember is Optic Gaming, like C9 before them, was 1 game away from closing out the series in our first grand final. And it's crazy to think back that there were moments in that Streets match where Optic could have closed out the series entirely, and they didn't. And now here we are in this second best of 5. Optic now down in this series, and maybe they're going to forfeit not only the top spot in terms of seeds, but maybe the top spot as the favorite of the tournament, which is not something we thought we were going to say at the end of this day. And I'm not even sure if this day, I'm not even sure this, exactly, I'm not even sure this day is ever going to end, but I don't know if it's something we were going to say at the end of this tournament, that's for sure.
It was so funny because yesterday, not even yesterday, well, yeah, yesterday.
What day is yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, I know. Yesterday, technically yesterday. It was funny just watching the winners bracket line up the way it did. I was questioning, like, oh, a Cloud9 rematch. Oh, maybe United will make it to the grand finals. Never did I think Sentinels would be making this elimination bracket run when they did fall short there. And I thought again, oh no, maybe they're going to be kind of, kicking themselves again and being like, damn, we didn't even get top 3. So zip it. I'm speechless about it. I really am. I think just in terms of how this series is going so far, I think it's a strange thing because it's something we've seen before, Brav. I just really quickly want to bounce off what you said there. Is it a mentality thing, do you think, at this point in time when you have a bracket reset? I think sometimes it seems to be swaying into the favor of the underdog here in this bracket reset. Is that something, do you think, in terms of the pressure, you're like, oh damn, we just lost an entire best of 5 here, what are we doing?
I think that can really apply a lot of the times. I don't think against a team like Optic, they let it get in their head. I think they're all mentally strong enough players that would surprise me if that was the case. You also have Lunchbox in the back, such a veteran. I think they're going to not let that really be something they dwell on, but it's going to be live fire Slayer, and we're going to jump in right now. Gaskin on board once again with LethuL. If you're just joining us, once again, we've said that about 40 times here throughout the grand finals, but there really have been that many entry points into these grand finals because it has been a fantastic night of competitive Halo that has gone into the early morning hours in every time zone in the world right now. Sentinels leads Optic Gaming in our truly final best of 5.
Yeah, just a big thanks to both LethuL and Lucid for letting us watch their streams from their POV, just because there were some observed issues a little bit earlier with networks and connecting to the lobbies of these players. But LethuL is already starting things off as he finished with a big double and just great assisting in general. This Sentinel squad really do have fantastic chemistry. And, you know, the Sentinel squad, they keep upsetting the statistics. Bravo, I was saying previously in that first game, Optic had never lost that game type in tournament play. Sentinels take them down. Well, this is a slightly tougher ask. On live fire, Optic Gaming have a 19-0 record across all game types. They've never lost on this map. Specifically Slayer, they have a 9-0 record. So if Sentinels do overturn this one, that really is going against the statistics.
That really is a tall order, as you say, and it's a double kill for LethuL in the back. And moments like that, plays like that, might be what it takes for them to meet that tall order, that tall ass, like you said. And it looks like Ola going to be taking down bottom middle. Frosty will be the one picking up the double kill in the feed. Also an AR in the back pocket of LethuL, as he will hold top tower and continue to engage players pushing over from Nest. And just like that, 10-6, that AR is going to come in handy in the back, but TriPPPeY's going to force the trade.
And you can hear the comms behind as well, obviously from the streams of the players. And they don't sound like players who are tired and aren't giving their all. They are very much frantic communication. These players want this. They want to go in as #1 seed to rally and just assert dominance. I think Sentinels came into this tournament, Bravo, with a point to prove. We saw what happened on social media the night before last, where there was a couple of questionable remarks thrown between players. And Sentinels, they've been on the receiving end of a lot of stick. And it would really answer the critics if they were to come back and win this entire tournament. I mean, they already have answered the critics, but even more so if they won. But first of all, they've got to get through Optic Gaming once more. 17-12 in favor of Optic. They've got a 5-kill lead.
Yeah, right now, as you see, even more points going on the board in favor of Optic, and it's a very strong start from them on live fire. Slayer looking to answer back here, 20-12 now, but LethuL and co want to make sure that that is not the end of the story, not the only narrative we tell in this game. Some good shots coming out of both LethuL and APG. It's actually going to be a re-challenge from LethuL, but Lucid helps at top A around the sandbag, so it will now be a score of 23-14.
Just look at how Sentinels are trying to shut down the movement of Optic, but every single time they take down one, there's another player. The green wall in full effect at this point. This is why they're so successful on live fire, because they move as a unit, but it's not always through the most normal routes. They take really abnormal areas. They like to push through bottom middle. They like to sometimes transition down through open field as well, just to make sure that they keep you on your toes. They are very unpredictable on this map, and it's terrifying to play against.
24-18, a few kills additionally coming in for the side of Sentinels there. You saw a few kills from Frosty as well as LethuL winning that battle from C-Plat into Closet. A nice battle against Ola as he's going to now make his way across A sandbags, down by 5 kills, but certainly still in this match. He'll find 2 players of Optic here at back house and need to be very careful with how he plays this. Nice bait and switch from the side of Optic.
He was so close to getting that kill as well, and you can see the urgency from Sentinels trying to dash into Garage when they had the player advantage, but just not able to capitalize on it. And those are the fine margins. Sometimes it's just a slither of a wall, a little bit of head not being able to connect to that BR, and that can be the difference. Not just one kill, but several kills.
See the escapability of Lucid? You're seeing it there from a separate POV. Now, Royal 2 will clean it up in the end. so they will get the kills on the board. But that's just an example from another POV of what that drop sliding and using those advanced movement techniques allows you to do to get out of really, really hairy situations. But speaking of, 26-31, still just like that, a 5-kill game.
Yeah, Sentinels still keeping on top of camouflage, but unfortunately for LethuL, someone had that camo goggles on. Pistola, the wizard himself, of course, coming from behind and having the heat wave in hand. The heat wave hasn't been seen too much in POV. It's not really been in LethuL's hands, but it has been very prominent on this map, and you can understand why. The damage it can do both at close range and mid-range, sometimes even long range with the clips I've seen on social media. But somehow, even though without all of that presence, Sentinels are just clawing this one back. They're only a few kills behind.
LethuL with some great peek shots on APG. He also moves over to B. Wow. Now we'll probably get this kill with some help. He also now has Repulsor. Heatwave has a really nice win in B. You might have noticed how the second he meleeed, he hit the Repulsor to ensure that that player could not exchange a melee. Then he also gets some help in house. So it's a very good swing for LethuL, as now they keep this game somehow within one. It's 33-32.
Just when you think Optic were going to start to roll away with this one, Sentinels, they answer back, whether it be just their ability to push as a unit and make sure they're holding hands as a 2 or a 3, or whether it's the fact now they've been able to take that heatwave away from Optic Gaming. But a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of LethuL here. Has to hit these shots, but APG giving him the wiggles and hitting the BR shots.
Certainly hitting those wiggles real nice around back pillars and actually using that pillars route to be ready for that drop to bottom middle. So here we are, tied up at the 33 mark, I think, or is that an 8? I can't tell. Between the yellow and the time of night, it's hard to tell. But right now, that's these two teams certainly still very, very close. Only a 4-kill game in that case at the back of live fire. Lucid staying alive as long as he can, but just like that, now moving into the 40-36 range.
I think what's impressive is how Sentinels are staying within a kind of 4 to 5 kill gap, which can very easily be overturned by the likes of a camo or a heat wave or just someone with a mangler that gets behind enemy lines. As long as they can stay this close, there is always a possibility of a comeback. And what we've just seen from game 1, it was a huge comeback, so they know it's possible. LethuL getting the sniper, will dive out, does have the assistance, but doesn't get the no-scopes.
Frosty's going to go down as well there, so that will be several kills going in favor of Optic Gaming, creating a difficult situation here off of the open field power-up push coming in for Sentinels. They're going to need to have eyes on tower, but also a player at A Sandbags is going to force them to get a little bit more control here. LethuL just trying to stay alive with his teammates around scoreboard.
Yeah, 6 kills in it now, make it 5, and certainly Sentinels have not been scared to get aggressive at those right moments. They recognize that they can't just play cowardly, they can't be passive, they've got to try and match the aggression of Optic Gaming, otherwise they'll just be swarmed, they'll be suffocated, and they're still in this one. Only 4 kills between the two teams, make that just 2 kills now, with some big frags coming out of the Sentinels boys.
You might have heard Frosty's comms saying still winnable, back when LethuL was at scoreboard, and my God, was it ever. They brought the game within 2, just as you say, 45-43. Lucid is the player alive on Nest, and we'll have to see if he gets back down to B. He's able, look at that, once again, this advanced movement, they're sliding right down into B, away from cover. You're going to hear us talking about that quite a bit here over these next few weeks, because it is such a difference maker, and as more players pick up that advanced movement, it will continue to be a big issue. But just like that, 46-46.
46-46. Somehow, Sentinels keep this dream alive. They have dropped 1, though. Got to be careful. Every death's so important, and just like that, 2 slip away. So now, Sentinels need to just play everything correctly, as it's 49-46. Off screen, they lose 1 more. Optic just 1 kill away from taking this map. So if you're Sentinels, you've got to play this absolutely perfectly.
LethuL drops off to make sure that anyone pushing C does not get to push him. Instead, he drops pillars to help out his team at B. And right now, this last team fight is what it's going to come down to here, 49-47.
Doesn't work out for them, and off screen, the final kill will go in favor of Optic Gaming, and their run on live fire does continue. It's now 20 wins in a row on this map. It doesn't matter what the game type is, they just seem to call that home. 50-47 though, Sentinels gave it a bloody good go as we move across to CTF Aquarius for the next one. But this is on a knife edge, Bravo. You cannot split these two teams right now. 250-247, then 50-47. You couldn't ask for much more.
You really can't. We could not ask for anything more from these teams. It's been an amazing grand finals. We can't ask for anything more from those of you joining on YouTube, Twitch, and elsewhere. It's been an unbelievable night of competitive Halo, a historic night. We had Ethan from the production team, the production room in Columbus, saying, well, this is a night we'll never forget. I think that speaks for everyone, whether you're in Twitch chat, YouTube chat, in the production room in Columbus or Seattle, or joining us here In the casting booth, it's just been an amazing night of competitive Halo, and we're not done yet. These two teams tied 1-1, neither one wanting to give one another an inch. We will go to game number 3. It's Aquarius CTF to see who will get the go-ahead game in the series.
Do you know what the crazy thing is? Before this tournament, I tweeted out some statistics from Optic Gaming, and they had maybe like 7 or 8 100% records across these maps. That's slowly been knocked out by Sentinels throughout this tournament, and they only have 4 100% win records across maps now through Optic Gaming. But we move across to CTF Aquarius, which is statistically the worst map for Optic in terms of how many wins and losses they have had. But also, we've seen Sentinels struggle on this map prior in different series as well. So I think it's just going to come down to, at this time, who's able to actually put more energy into this one? Who can not be too fatigued from the fact they've been playing for so many consecutive hours now?
Yeah, and I think as you look at this home stretch, I think adrenaline's going to carry these teams through quite a bit, and for good reason, because we're going straight in. This is going to be game number 3 in our second best of 5 between these two teams. It's CTF on Aquarius.
Really important, the opening trades here to try and gain a little bit of map control, and whether it be actually picking up that camouflage or just getting yourself in a position where you can begin to think about a flag run. Opening strategies in Halo Infinite, very important, and certainly Sentinels off the get-go have been able to pick up some really important kills.
And by the way, you notice we've been on board with LethuL's POV for a while, where we were also showing Lucid earlier on, showing player streams due to the fact that we were having a little bit of networking issues that were holding up some of the games, so we wanted to get into games as fast as possible. But Lucid actually has turned off his stream, so whether for reasons of the fact that it's now a ridiculous hour, you know, where he lives, or the fact that he wanted to focus on playing with the team, we now have LethuL stream. We're very thankful to have it here as our window into this match through these early morning hours as we see which team can grab some early kills. There's going to be another one going on the board in favor of SnakeBite.
And whilst you don't necessarily get to see the entire story when you're only watching one POV, you do get to witness some of the other things you miss on a natural broadcast. You get to see what their decision is on every single time they spawn, how they're going to help those teammates, what they look at, what they talk about when they're dead as well. All these different things that we get to focus on, which is quite nice. Those of you who are regulars in LethuL stream, of course, you're used to seeing all of this, but for us who have to watch from the observer point of view, from all those different POVs, it is nice sometimes to just get a little brief glance at how the players play it every single way.
And also getting a little bit of comms as well that you're hearing from this team. By the way, Onset's been talking about it, and rightfully so, for these past few tournaments, but that sidekick, how viable that is, the fact that LethuL got a trade on that last kill, I think he only popped out 2, maximum 3 shots and able to get the trade there. So an example of just how good that is. Now LethuL showing off a little bit of slide jumps as well as he gets into the enemy base very fast and able to get back into this and challenge Lucid in the back left of the base. Knows he needs some help. He has some help from utility, so we'll see if he can stay alive, but no, he'll be taken down. So once again, still a battle for control top mid.
The strafes we're witnessing from every player in this lobby as well, they're all so confident with their shot, and they're all starting to get their own kind of trademark strafes as well. You'll notice they're doing it in an entirely different way. It's not just a normal wiggle just from left to right. There is planned strategy, there's method behind the madness, but one flag is being run here by Sentinels. LethuL there to cover. He's probably done enough damage there to allow this flag to get to a position for a possibility of scoring. It is going to be scored, and Sentinels are going to go 1-0 up here.
1-0 up in game number 3, and you have to think on Aquarius CTF, usually one flag, unlike a map like Bazaar, one flag not enough to do it, so they are going to have to keep the foot on the gas as they continue to apply the pressure. A kill does come in for Ola though, so LethuL going to be careful with how he plays this, trying to just ring around the rosy, maybe outsmart an opponent and try to win this battle. Looks like TriPPPeY will win that, but SnakeBite on the way to close it out.
You have no help, PJ, just live.
Certainly the survivability of every player in the lobby has impressed me so far, how they will play their lives, how they'll just sprint around a corner to avoid just those extra shots, and then it's about how quickly they re-engage into another fight, whether they actually want to retake that fight and try and go for the reversal, or just react to a call-out and try and finish off a different player on the map that their teammates having a fight with. Just very quick reaction speeds. We've seen it throughout the entire tournament. We've seen some highlights. Bravo, you even spoke about it, just the reaction of call-outs and turning your head on a swivel to try and get that final kill when the one-shot is called. The chemistry and the teamwork that we're seeing from these teams already in Halo Infinite is really amazing.
It really has been. I think we're seeing so much discipline, so much coordination from these teams, and You have to say the big surprise of this event, not due to the names on the stage, but just due to their past 2 weeks performance, of course, has been Sentinels, and just how much they have stepped up their game to maybe get real close to that world-class performance that we're used to seeing out of this roster week in, week out for the past decade of professional Halo, and now really putting Optic's feet to the fire in this series. They sent us to a second best of 5, and now even leading in our game number 3.
Yeah, just to give you a bigger picture, I mean, Sentinels finished top 12 in the tournament last weekend. It was unheard of. I think everyone was a little bit taken aback, including the Sentinels players. They reacted in a way where they said, we just need to get top 8 so that we can be in pool play when it comes to Rally. But they've answered back in a way that they are now in the Grand Finals, and they've reset these Grand Finals. And they're currently technically leading these Grand Finals as they're 1-0 up as we're tied in this series. But they need to make sure they stay on top of things, because if Optic find the same kind of rhythm that we've seen them find over the past few tournaments, that's when they start to get scary. If Lucid starts to find that heat wave consistently and really gets behind you, it can do so much wonders. He can really tear a game apart.
Great play there from LethuL. You saw that he either got the call out or heard the footsteps that there was a player up top. It was APG. Finds him again. APG will get the better of him in that example, as that flag is going to go all the way across and is going to be going in. Optic will be on the board as well. And unsurprisingly, what other way would we have it? We're tied 1-1 here with 6:40 left.
And it's so difficult sometimes to get that flag all the way across Aquarius. I mean, I'm sure that you guys playing at home might be playing Aquarius and Bazaar and seeing that it's a 5 flag and wondering why it's a 5 flag, because at times it feels like it should be 3. But I have seen these games go all the way to the wire, a 5-4, a 4-4. It just really depends on how the teams want to approach it, how they want to play it. But when you've got 2 evenly matched teams like this, who are just slaying each other consistently on both sides of the map, it makes it so tough to actually get into that base and even pull a flag.
Ola right there, and a teammate with a great pre-nade on utility. That will take out LethuL and a teammate as well. They were trying to come in that door, in the side door. Ooh, heat wave though is in the hands. It takes a look like Lucid there. There will be a trade though, as SnakeBite will be the one to clean that up again. Just in case you're just joining us as well, SnakeBite playing on that Nerd Slayer tag. So just in case you're seeing a name you don't recognize in the feed, that's who that is. It's SnakeBite.
Nice little comm we heard as well from Sentinels, where they really were trying to focus as to where Lucid was with that heat wave, and they were saying he's here, he's here. They knew they had to take him out. They couldn't allow him to just be behind enemy lines with the heat wave, otherwise it could have been very detrimental for their chances of getting out, pushing out, and getting another flag. But all the kill feed I'm seeing at the moment is all Optic Gaming. TriPPPeY, Lucid, they're picking up these kills. Sentinels need to answer back and start to match this slaying power.
Yeah, and actually LethuL flies right in right away, wondering where the opponents might have gone, and gets the better of Lucid. It did so well. We talked a lot about Lucid's use of the drop side curb slide, but we got to give credit to LethuL, because he's really been showing off quite a few tricks of his own in terms of how fast he's getting to different parts of the map as well, which is no surprise. Expect all players at this point, and certainly by Raleigh, to really be on top of some of the movement techniques in Halo Infinite. Yeah,
they're all starting to up their game a little bit. You can tell extra time has been put in, extra work has been put in behind the scenes so that they can manipulate and maneuver their way around the map as quickly as possible. Not only can you get from point A to point B faster, but if you kind of slide drop into a fight, it's so difficult to actually track that player sometimes, because they really do travel across your screen very quickly and you might not be expecting it. But another flag being run here by Sentinels. Is there anyone in position to try and train this home? LethuL's at least going to toss it in, but someone else has to touch this, because the rest of Optic, they're all watching. Someone with full shields will come in. Sentinels go 2-1 up.
I like that play from LethuL. You might have thought, why did LethuL go in with no shields there? But he had another player in his own utility and a player back flag. So he went and kind of sacrificed for that flag toss, and it worked out really well for them. And right now that's going to put them 2-1 up with just 4 minutes left, and looking to maintain a little bit of top control off of this rotation as well.
Yeah, have to maintain some top control. You don't allow Optic Gaming to start to pin you back and push you onto spawn and really start to gain confidence with slays. Instead, you need to match them now. Trade 1-for-1, get the camouflage, keep in their face, get behind them, and just be a nuisance. I think Frosty picked up the camo, yes, which he did. He should be able to finish off that kill onto TriPPPeY. APG is going to be weak nearby as well. Sentinel should be able to get a couple of players down here and regain the entire map control.
Look at the amount of damage, the amount of anchoring that's coming out of LethuL. They're able to help all the way to the utility, then continues to challenge bottom Dynamo, challenges another player APG up top, and doing so much damage, even backing down Ola here, waiting for some help to come from Frosty. LethuL really putting on a show here, even though that's not amounting to many kills on the board. Such great support work as his team is able to continue. And look, I mean, Ola's still running backwards. Just amazing pressure from LethuL.
Dynamo Grenades will give so much information here. Will also tag up his teammates, so you do have to be a little bit careful, but it's the amount of presence that LethuL is offering here on the map. He's just giving so much information to his team. He's also kind of stopping Optic Gaming from being able to push up in certain areas. He's doing a lot for the team right now.
Wow, this is such a highlight reel from LethuL. Amazing gameplay. We're lucky we get to see it here just because that was some amazing Halo Infinite. And I would even say in the grand final, certainly one of the best sequences we've seen from any pro player. They're now up 3-1 here, and they're going to be very happy with that with only 2:36 left on the clock.
Yeah, this is going to get very difficult for Optic Gaming to try and make a comeback, but we daren't even think about not suggesting a comeback could happen after what has happened so many times here today. And there we have Optic throwing that flag, getting it on the move. Sentinels, they've got a few players down here, but it looks like they've been able to stop that one straight away. Very important to do so.
Oh, great comms there, and calling out Ola on the flag, and even able to get the kill himself. Now continuing to challenge, and I'm not kidding. This is amazing streak here from LethuL. I mean, one of the most talented players to ever play the game, but also he's just on fire right now. He's all over the map.
I would love to see the amount of damage that he's put in this game. I know we might not necessarily be able to see that because it's just from his POV, but the damage output must be there, and there's some of that extra movement just to get from point A to B quicker. And now he can get some damage done as well. Catches TriPPPeY out, reacting to callouts once more. 1 minute and 41 left on the clock, and Sentinels are running yet another flag here.
Almost did it again, and Ola able to take him down. Finally, 2 players in utility, but not kidding when I say some of the best sequences of Halo Infinite that we have seen. 4-1 now in favor of Sentinels, much in part due to the damage that LethuL was doing there in the back left, all in his opponent's utility. Certainly a masterclass from LethuL, just staying alive, getting kills that he really shouldn't, might even get some grenade damage here, and with 1:13 left, this looks like it's going to be a Sentinels W.
It looks like it is. I can't really see 3 flags being run across the map in 1 minute, but at the same time, I don't want to rule out anything. That flag is being run once more, though, for Sentinels, so they should be able to just close this one out 5-1 comfortably. But, man, that flag does go back, so now it's just going to have to be pulled. And I think that, you know, Sentinels are going to be delighted with this. They're going to go 2-1 up in this series. They're going to be 1 map away from taking this grand finals, and I wonder what that's going to do to the mentals of Optic Gaming.
Yeah, you have to think, on the one hand, does Optic Gaming start to get down on themselves? And I think the other hand is, what on earth might we see with Optic Gaming stepping it up? We thought we'd already seen the best that Optic Gaming had to offer, and maybe that is the fire that they needed lit underneath them to carry this one out. It will still be 4-2 with 25 seconds left. A little bit of a victory lap here with Sentinel just controlling and slaying up top.
And this has just traditionally been one of Optic's weaker game types, and this is shown even more by Sentinels putting another loss onto what was a very impressive record across the board for Optic, but what was an almost flawless record before this tournament started has slowly been chipped away by several teams, not just Sentinels, and it really does demonstrate how teams in North America are starting to catch up with what looked like an unbeatable Optic Gaming at one point. But Optic Gaming, they most certainly do bleed, and Sentinels take a 2-1 lead here in the grand finals reset. We're going to Oddball Streets, and Sentinels are on series and championship point.
And how fast has the narrative changed? Just a few hours ago, I could no longer tell you how many hours ago, but just a few hours ago, Optic Gaming was 2 up in the first grand final, poised to take the first seed at Raleigh and be not only the team to beat, but be the most talked about team in competitive Halo Infinite. And instead, we're looking at maybe Sentinels asking Optic Gaming to take a seat, because right now they're only 1 game away from taking our grand finals reset. As you say, Oddball Streets going to be their opportunity to do that.
And just looking across how many times Optic have played this one, it's one of the less played game types. They played it 4 times, won it 3, and they lost it once. So certainly they have shown a little bit of weakness here or there, but with only 4 games played, it's hard to really take too much away from it. And I think statistics start to get thrown out the window a little bit. It's something Onset mentioned: when you get to these late hours, you get to these late games, you get to the clutch moments in a series. It's about who's playing better on the day, where that teamwork is, where the drive is, where the energy is. And right now, everything is pointing towards Sentinels. But there's always another twist in the tail, and I would not be surprised if Optic do take this one and we go to another best of 5.
I would not be surprised either. That's one thing that you pointed out during this series. I think we've all learned as casters, as Halo fans, as Twitch viewers, especially with the scoring mechanics that you have in Halo Infinite, the game is never over, which is a pretty exciting place to be, and it's led to some of the most exciting competitive Halo in many, many years. So we're lucky to be here. Thank you once again, everyone who's joined us for this marathon and historic night, to be honest, of competitive Halo. It's pretty special to be here. We won't forget this night soon, and it's probably no better way, Gaskin, to set the table for what's to come in Raleigh. Only a few more games left in this series, and we'll have to see if Sentinels can close it out on Streets. But like we said, I think this is a pretty exciting way to get ready for the first LAN of Halo Infinite.
Yeah, if this doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will, as we take a look once more just at what the lay of the land is. And with Oddball Streets, I have seen some questionable kind of plays coming from several teams as I've watched this game type go down. I don't think any team has really hit the nail on the head with the perfect strategy yet, but one thing I will say is we watched Sentinels play this game type in this tournament already, and what they did very successfully was just find awkward time with the ball, and they were holding it in very unorthodox positions, and I think that caught their opposition off guard a little bit. And if they can do the same here against Optic Gaming, if they can get that scrappy time, if they can pick it up and set up in areas where maybe Optic don't expect them to, then we may be looking at our champions after game 4 here. One thing I will mention as well, very important with Oddball on Streets, if you're holding it in areas of Tram or if you're holding it in the A tower, you've really got to play that ball as soon as you're under pressure. And even though you can't throw it off the map like you may be able to on other game types, you've really just got to throw it into that top middle position, because it can leave it so vulnerable to grenades. Off spawn, you can grenade straight away, and it's very difficult for the other team to actually pick that ball up and gain any time.
Certainly couldn't agree more. We did see less traditional holds from them in areas like Neons and Cafe, and areas that you might not expect the team to accumulate a lot of time. I think another thing that's worth noting that we haven't seen, but it's a good time to talk about it, is there is a way to play this ball right on the map in terms of that melee glitch to actually melee the ball. Yeah, about 40 meters or so, you can melee the ball if you're able to time the melee, and you can actually send it straight through the actual ceiling, if you will, of the map geometry. That's one way. You can also reset the ball through the little kind of dumpster area back PD. We haven't seen that utilized in competitive play too much, but two options that you might want to keep an eye on just in case they do start to get utilized. But like you said, the traditional holds will be the difference, and we of course still have our entire talent team joining us here on set, also commenting that transitional setups really will decide this game, and I think that really is the key. It's all about how do you rotate, and as you were saying also, Gaskin, how do you make sure that the ball is played and not simply just left on a silver platter for your opponents? It
was actually something I saw Cloud9 do really well. I know Cloud9 were eliminated a little bit earlier than expected, but when I was watching them play this game type, Penguin especially at both A tower and when he was in Tram, he would always maneuver his way around just to be really tricky, really awkward to kill, and it just seemed every single time on one shot he would just get that extra yard to be able to jump out and throw the ball to a place which was almost unobtainable for the other team. And then off spawn he was able to grenade the ball and stop anyone from picking it up. That's how successfully he was able to play it, and I would like to see teams and players do the same thing here in the grand finals, and you can certainly expect them to do so, because one thing that we know about Halo players is they learn and they adapt very quickly to what their opponents have shown them. And I think that when you've seen C9 do that against you, you start to then add that to your repertoire, and you really are going to be awkward to play against.
It's true, absolutely, and I think this next one, I think if we know anything, it's too bad we don't know who's writing the script, because we could add them, but we could ask them, excuse me. But if we know anything about the way the games have gone so far, like you said, we could be headed to a game number 5 Slayer. But before we get there, the test will be this match here on Streets. That'll be your game number 4, once again, between Optic Gaming and Sentinels.
Well, this could be it, everyone. You've been watching all this time. I feel like we've been live for about 24 hours. It's probably closer to about 12 at this point. But we've all been enjoying all of the Halo action. It could come to an end if Sentinels are able to topple Optic Gaming here on Streets Oddball. But there is still potentially a Game 5 if we see Optic come back into things. This is certainly going to be an enjoyable one.
It's a rocket grab for Optic that you just saw on LethuL's POV for just a second. That'll likely be in the tires area, maybe being rotated B as well. That is an early grab, though, for Optic and Lucid. They will bring that back to a back A, back elbow hold.
Yeah, and this is the most desirable hold that you'll see in Oddball, just being able to position the ball right back behind that tower, but then there needs to be some support there, and it doesn't look like there is that support right now. TriPPPeY trying to be a little bit sneaky, and I said it didn't look like the support was there, but maybe because Optic Gaming got their best camouflage impressions on. They were hiding behind any object, and they went for the ambush, and the ambush was somewhat successful because they're still racking up some ball time.
Yeah, Optic Gaming playing a little bit of prop hunt there, just hiding and trying to look as much like a electric transformer as he could was TriPPPeY against that ball. And he's actually still in the same exact spot, and he's going to win that battle in tires once again, coming back with a vengeance. That's going to continue to extend the Optic lead here, 27-0.
And this could be a lead that continues to grow if we don't see Sentinels manage to stop the ball, but they have done. Royal 2's now got his hands on it, and he's trying to rotate it a little bit closer towards the rest of the team, just tosses it out into a position where maybe they could do something with it. But look at Optic quickly recognizing that they can pick up some scrappy time here. They can really make Sentinels work to try and break this setup, and that time is slowly getting away from Sentinels. They need to get closer to this ball. They need to stop this time, otherwise they could be looking at going around down.
Where the ball is right now is actually the area I was talking about, where you can actually play it. Behind those wooden planks and pallets, you can actually go ahead and play that ball right there. We'll have to see if either team thinks about that, because it's a little bit of a less traditional spot here, Gaskin. You don't always see the PD holds come into play at this high level of play.
That's because you're so vulnerable when you are holding it in PD. Grenades can be banked off the 3 different entrances, and you can just be completely wiped out of the game. But 3 kills going in favor of Optic make that all 4 dead. Rockets have just come up as well, so not only have they got the ball, they've got the setup, they've got all the goodies, and Sentinels off spawn have got a lot to do.
They do. They're lucky to get these B spawns, which is much further than, say, a back tram spawn. You could see a little bit of a smile there on LethuL's face, and not one that was an evil one, but just knew that he naded his teammate there, SnakeBite, who was also dropping in on tire. So just unfortunate series of grenades and kills that are going in here, because it's going to amount to even more time on the board. It's a nice kill, though, between Frosty and Royal 2 and LethuL to work in back PD to clear out this part of the map.
Yeah, that's the perfect kind of setup push and setup break there from Sentinels, and just it does show that was a little bit of a sloppy hold from Optic Gaming. They weren't in the desired position. Sometimes you have to just have that poor man set up and rock with whatever's presented to you, but it does leave you a little bit vulnerable to those pushes, and now Sentinels can try and just put a little bit more ball time here. But here comes Lucid with the microwave, really being a nuisance.
We've seen him use that Sentinel beam time and time again, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on that weapon, but Lucid making sure to grab it every time. We've seen him do a lot of damage with it. Kills will be exchanged on both sides, so just like that, they'll continue to fight over this PD and B area.
Yeah, it is a scrappy game, this one, and I guess I'm not really surprised with 2 teams who are so closely contested when it comes to slays, when it comes to their ability on every single game type. I know I've spoke a lot about statistics, but it would seem that both teams now know how to play every game there or thereabouts, as you'd expect, but it's only a couple of weeks into the life cycle of Halo Infinite, but already some very impressive statistics coming out from both of these teams. A little bit more ball time still to be gathered here by LethuL, but recognizing that he may have to drop in slay at any moment with those rockets coming up in 10 seconds.
Yeah, just angling himself away. Thought about dropping the ball and trying to maybe tuck it around the corner. Doesn't get it, still has to try to drop and shoot instead. Thinking about going back for it, though. You can tell he's thinking about at least trying to rotate this ball. He will finally grab it, but continue to help in the back of the base. Earlier, moments ago, you saw just how well he avoided the grenades and made sure to avoid those. That's led to a huge swing here. He's essentially brought the game back, just about tied here in game number 4.
But we were saying earlier about unorthodox setups and just holding those ball in those different areas, and the PD setup is not a great one, but certainly Sentinels have found a way to make it work. They've got back into this game and pretty much tie it up with 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, and they keep spawning Cafe. I think that's the good thing here for Sentinels, is they can consistently keep pushing here towards PD, take that fight, get a little bit of scrappy ball time, but if Optic do manage to get all 4 dead and force Sentinels all the way back to station spawns, that's when things could start to get a little bit dicey.
You bring up a great point, Gaskin. Through all of these PD holds, notice that we have not seen LethuL spawn in the back of Tram in several minutes. It's been all B spawns as well as Cafe Neon spawns, which they're going to be pretty happy with. It has let them stay very close to the action. Now that ball will finally rotate all the way to Neons and get out of PD for the first time in several minutes. But once again on the scoreboard, we are still essentially tied here, 68-60. I
swear just LethuL does not miss, but this is another one of those setups we were talking about that happened earlier from Sentinels, holding it towards Cafe, holding it towards Neons. It's not necessarily the most optimal setup at times, but Sentinels really find a way to make it work. Optic are having to try so hard to traverse the map right now, but every corner they're greeted by a battle rifle, by a grenade. There's something to stop them in their wake.
Look how much of a pain LethuL is being, just making sure to do as much damage as possible and then taking as much damage as possible, but still staying alive. Finally, Lucid has to bust out the 2,000-watt microwave. and take them down at the bottom of A. That was quite a streak once again from the side of LethuL, and like that, they will be scoring earlier, 88 now to 70, and only 12 points away for Sentinels. They'll need maybe just one good push to close this out, but they need to make it soon.
Don't know if he just naded Frosty there or whether it was something else, but certainly there was an apology as rockets are about to pop. So if Optic or Sentinels grab these, you've got to have a feeling that it could be the difference maker with only, what, 10, 20 seconds needed between the two teams. But at the moment, LethuL is really just focusing on holding this cafe area, has to stay alive, just trying to get some support right now whilst dealing a little bit of damage.
Ooh, it was a great slide there on Ola. He happens to just miss the banister and able not to get into A, but it doesn't matter. He's able to still get that kill. But the rockets come in just as you say. It's a trippy grab.
TriPPPeY does get the rockets, does get the kill, but Sentinels are still there to pick up the ball time, to get that scrappy time that they've so desperately been searching for. And with only 5 points remaining, you've got to feel that Optic, without some miraculous grenades, this is going to be round one going in favor of Sentinels. Remember, if you've not seen Oddball on Halo Infinite yet, it is now round-based. It's first to two. So Sentinels are now 1 round away from winning this grand final.
A very convincing round from them, able to play that all the way through. Optic with a lot of points on the board, but it really came down to that long hold from Sentinels. And I think, Gaskin, you called this perfectly. Sentinels, certainly the team that has stood out within these top teams. It feels weird to call them within the top 12 because that's normally never how we'd refer to Sentinels. But of course, that was their placing last week. But importantly, they're really comfortable with these less traditional holds, and they win another round with a hold that's a little bit less common.
And I think that says a lot about their chemistry, about their ability to react to maybe a situation they get put in that other teams would just crumble. But because they're so quick to react to those calls, to jump on a one-shot or to push as a two, collapse on a team that is spawning in front of them, that's what's always made Sentinels so impressive as a team, whether it be through Halo 5 or the early stages of Halo Infinite. But this is going to be an entirely different game. Now we see the ball over towards Tram. We had a heavy game over towards Tower and PD, but you will see how different things are going to be with the ball in this area.
That's right. It's interesting that we get to see a completely different version of this game type, if you will, in the back tram area, as Gaskin alluded to. It's a completely different game the way it plays out, and you'll see the choke points becoming so much more of a factor on this side, whereas it's a little bit more open and a little bit more sprawled out on the other side of the map that you got to see in that first run. But folks, this really is the test for Optic Gaming. Do they have what it takes to rally back in this series and three-peat, or is it going to be all Sentinels all the way? Here's the rotation from LethuL.
Yeah, look at the thought process here from Sentinels, not just accepting a default hold-in station. Instead, they've all moved as a unit towards the B area, and they're moving as a wolf pack. This makes it so difficult for Optic, who off-spawn were probably spawning at Cafe, moved down towards Neons, and Sentinels just gradually moved away from them so that they could get a little bit more time without sacrificing the possibility of Optic getting those slays and then getting ball time in an area where it's very difficult to push.
I gotta bring it up once again, the man on set here, still joining us, of course, from the casting booth, sitting this series out, but still enjoying the matches. He's the one who called it. Transitional setups will win this game, and has that ever been the story so far for Sentinels, with some of the most specific and fastest moving rotations that we've seen in tournament play so far? Now a rocket grab for LethuL. First one will not connect, but he will continue to advance on pillars and tires.
I certainly know from playing myself, I really dislike trying to play the ball game in station, in tram. So I love what we've seen from Sentinels. I think they are the same. They don't like that push. They don't try to break that setup. Instead, they bring that ball away from the area and say, no, we've just won a round where the game and the ball has always been over towards A tower. Let's get it back towards there again. We know how to break their setups. We know how to work as a unit, and we can go for those unorthodox moves down towards Neons if we need to. It's a very closely contested round two here, but Sentinels still putting points on the board.
Frosty able to fly in there and get that kill on Lucid. Been a great back and forth between Lucid and LethuL all series long. Been a pleasure watching these two duke it out for the entire series, and not just this series, but our entire grand finals, to be honest. LethuL just trying to control tires, now checking out a courtyard, wanting to see if anyone might have gotten through. It's a back whack for SnakeBite off screen, and a great slide here from LethuL as he gets into the back of PD with a PD hold. Once again, somehow, Gaskin, we're back into the police department.
Yeah, just more scrappy time, though, for Sentinels. They will lap this up all day, and here comes Optic Gaming starting to get a little bit more desperate to stop the ball time, as they know if one hold just gets out of control, they will lose this grand finals. And it's not just a grand finals where they lost one best of 5, it would have been 2 best of 5s. It's what they did to Cloud9 just a couple of weeks ago, and now Sentinels are on the horizon of doing it to them.
Right, it's what they did, and in this version, it could be even more convincing version of that story. Rockets about to pop up in 7 seconds. Now you hear priority going down onto tires as well as PD. They're going to need to make sure that no one is behind them. A player on B stairs caution, so they'll need to be very careful here. But like you said, this really has been Sentinels ready to run away with this game. They're already at the 64-point mark. Once again, Lucid versus LethuL, and Lucid the one who's won the last few versions of that exchange.
Rocket's still in the hands of a member of Sentinels. I think he was just about able to get away, and yeah, it's Frosty who gets the kill onto TriPPPeY, and it looks like he's still got one more. So even though the ball is down bottom middle, Sentinels have a 30-kill lead, and they've got Rockets in their possession. They can get aggressive here. Lucid falls. They've got the player advantage. They can collapse here onto Optic Gaming and get some serious ball time if they're quick about it.
Yeah, it should be a snag as well coming in from LethuL. He's ready to grab the ball right away, but before he does that, he's actually going to wisely challenge and force Lucid off of the C stairs and maybe try to get away with the ball. Teammate has already done so, so they're going to bring that to Cafe and keep ragging up time. They're 30 points away from closing out the series.
I think Optic have got maybe one more push in them here. If they're not perfect with it, it's going to be a victory for Sentinels. They all need to push as a unit. Lucid the first one to push into Cafe here, but does get taken down. TriPPPeY falls, so does APG. It's 3 members of Optic that have gone down now, and with one only alive, you've got to imagine Sentinels are just about going to get over the line here without barring a miracle, a massive grenade. Anything can be sent over. Sentinels have done the unthinkable. From losers bracket, I don't know, 12, they've managed to win back to back to back to back to back to become grand final champions, and they will be the #1 seed, Bravo, going into Rally.
How quickly the narrative has changed here. Optic Gaming on top of the world just hours ago, 1 game away from closing out the grand finals, and instead Sentinels, they come from the depths, they come from the deep of the losers bracket. Just as my phone dies, it is 3-1 in favor of Sentinels over Optic Gaming. A convincing grand finals reset from the side of Sentinels. Former world champions, a team that placed top 12 last week, that many a Halo fan knew had so much more that they were capable of. And my God, you guys, we have come to the end. I can't believe we have. Sentinels, out of nowhere, steals the story from Optic Gaming, and we're heading into Raleigh in a completely different way than I think any of us thought we might.